Good evening, everybody, and welcome to the stream. It is Monday, March 15th. Beware the Ides of March. If your name is Caesar, I would watch my back if I were you. Welcome to the stream. So tonight's going to be something special. I will be playing with some Mirage block constructed, which will definitely be pretty fun. I've got Seth from the Sisters of the Flames, who is joining me today in this match. And he will be coming on here just shortly. So I appreciate everybody who is here. First thing we need to do is that we need to change the color of our background. So let's see what we can do and spin the wheel. All right, and then we're going to go back with gold. All right, so let's change that card frame to gold. turn off the land. There we go. All right. And for those of you who are new to the stream, thank you very much. You can join me each and every Tuesday night for my regularly scheduled stream. I play 3 rounds of Old School Magic every Tuesday night at 8 p.m. Eastern as part of the Tuesday Night Gauntlet with the Northern Paladins. Coming up also a couple of extra streams this week. This Wednesday at 4 p.m. Eastern, I will be playing in another match of 7 Point Singleton here live on stream. And then change of pace, Friday morning at 9, I also have a match of 7 Point Singleton. So what I would like to do is I would like to welcome Seth to the stream. Seth, thank you for allowing me to play, and welcome to the stream again.
Oh, thanks for having me. I'm glad to have you participating in our event.
Yeah, so Seth's been on the stream before. He's helped me with commentary. He's been on the stream playing before. This is going to be the first time that we're playing against each other. But Seth is part of the Sisters of the Flame. They're based out of New York. They're an old school group based out of New York. So Seth, why don't you talk to me a little bit about Sisters of the Flame and why you wanted to do Mirage Block?
Oh God! All right. Well, the Sisters is that's a shorter one. So there's about like 20 or so of us, give or take. We used to, pre-COVID, have fairly regular meetups that would get about 10 or 12 guys together. Mm-hmm. People probably are familiar with some of our other members like Dom, Paul, Andy. The Spice Master himself. We've got a couple of the Derby winners on our teams or within the Sisters. So yeah, we've got a pretty good group of guys. We were very active pre-COVID. Since COVID, we've started to take up a lot of like online tournaments like this. And so it kind of takes us into, right now we're doing Mirage Block. And for us, we've done a whole bunch of different events. So we did some Singleton, some regular old school, some Atlantic. We modified some rules. We've been doing almost monthly events basically since about, I think, August. Mm-hmm. And then we did Ice Age and Alliances back in December, January time period. And so then this one came around to Mirage. And this is really like more of a guilty pleasure for myself.
Sure.
I have like 55 block decks built.
Oh, wow.
From Ice Age up through, oh gosh, one of those gate crash ones. I don't remember which one the last one is. The newest. Yeah, it's got like the azure and the blue-white and I don't know. Like, whatever those things are, right? Something like that. I know it has shocklands in it. So, I've been playing a lot of block, started playing when I was a poor college student because when old cards cycled out of standard, you could get invasion block cards for like $1, for a rare, like 3 rares for $1 at that point. So it goes way back then. So this is back in like 2002, 3 is when I started playing block. And Mirage is just like my favorite of the ones.
Yeah, Mirage holds a special place for me as well because I started at Ice Age. I started in the summer of '96, so Mirage was the first set where I was playing Magic where a new set was released, which is pretty exciting for me. And Mirage is the one that started it all with the cohesive blocks of three sets that were designed to go together. So that was definitely a fun time in Magic and whatnot. So that brings us into what we're playing today. So a lot of people may or may not know, but one of the things with Mirage Block, it had a combo deck, and it was Cadaverous Bloom, Squandered Resources, Natural Balance, and Prosperity. So the object of the deck was to get a Squandered Resources on the table as quickly as possible, sacrifice your lands for mana after you tap them, get a Cadaverous Bloom on the table, and then fuel a large Prosperity. Natural Balance would let you get more lands on the table to keep on going, and then eventually cast a Drain Life upon your opponent. Now, when you decided that we're going to do Mirage Block, you went by the Wizards of the Coast original what they had done, and they said no can do to Squandered Resources, and it basically kills this combo. So
yeah, it was a tough call. I actually personally think Squandered Resources is probably fine. I didn't want people to sort of like complain about it, so it was more just a proactive measure to sort of like tamp down the power, not have anybody go that route. Mainly because like that deck, while it's good, the fact that you can't, if you go to 0 during a phase, because you used to be able to like Infernal Contract to 0.
Right.
Like you could do those things, and those lines never don't work anymore.
Right.
So the deck isn't quite as strong as it was then.
Another thing too is that there were interrupts and there were mana sources back then. So I mean, obviously interrupts don't exist anymore, but being able to counter things at interrupt speed, or being able to use mana at the speed of a mana source. So things like Gemstone Mine, which when the third counter went away, you would have to sacrifice it. But you could respond by sacrificing it to the squandered resources, because sacrificing it to the squandered resources was faster than the trigger of the sacrifice for 0 counters. So there was definitely some bonkers stuff. Now, one thing that Mirage Block is also known for are for the tutors. We've got Enlightened Tutor, Mystical Tutor, Worldly Tutor, and then Visions came out with Vampiric Tutor, the big daddy of them all. So those are all legal, and they don't actually seem as problematic with such a smaller card pool.
Yeah, well, mainly because one of the big things is card advantage is really hard to like generate in the format. It really comes in the form of like tempo plays, like Mana War, like the 1/8/7 creatures, right? Or like the biggest source, or like something like Hammer Bogarden, which you're paying 8 mana to bring that back and send it at a face or a creature again, which is pretty steep price to pay for card advantage. The other thing, like the blue control lists are using inspiration. So when you start to see what steps you have to go through to get card advantage, card disadvantage is pretty important, right? So like most of the black decks probably don't even want Vamp Tutor, which if you tell a player now, like you have a 1 mana instant speed tutor, you would run as many as you could. But because of the other nuances of the format, it's really hard. Then there's also Foreshadow's an incredibly strong card, right? Like because it combos so well with Memory Lapse and just neuters those tutors completely. While cantripping is pretty strong. I mean, and Gaia's Blessing is also like in here, which can easily, make tutor's life miserable.
I'm putting both Foreshadow and Gaia's Blessing in the chat right now. So one thing that would be that may or may not be a concern when it comes to playing under current rules. So we are playing all of the modern rules with the exception of Mana Burn exists. So that means that phasing doesn't work the same way as it did during Mirage Block. So during Mirage Block, initially when something phased in or out, it would trigger, and then it was switched so that it wouldn't trigger when it phased out, but only when it phased in. And then they tried, it's like, well, that doesn't make any sense. So eventually it was okay. It doesn't trigger at all. So with phasing working differently now, a version of Stifle Knot could end up being played with, instead of Stifle, you've got Reality Ripple and then Vision Charm. So the Dreadnought can come in, and then with the trigger on the stack, you can phase it out, and then you never have to sacrifice any of the permanent. So is there any concern about that deck causing any issues in this?
I mean, I think it's good. It's still a 2-card combo list that still has to win through the red zone. And, this is a format where anybody who has islands is going to run Mana War. So, getting 2 hits with a Dreadnought is actually kind of difficult between that and Uktabi's. Disenchant, I imagine, will be everywhere, as it should be, because like Sands of Time, Equipoise is a pretty strong combo deck. And you really do need some sort of interaction there. And don't forget, like the slide decks have Goblin Vandal and Builder's Bane, which are really cheap, efficient ways to sort of interact with that. So, and again, we go back to sort of like there's enough ways to gain tempo and card advantage with like the 1/8/7 creatures that you getting 2 for 1 could just be a blowout. So, I don't know how to build the Stifle Knot. I think it's a really good question. I'd love to see, I guess that's the whole balance, right? Like, it'd be really cool if someone came up with a cool Stifle Knot list and like maybe an optimal one, but then you don't want everybody racing to the bottom there. So there's like good and bad there, because I'm not sure, since it was never really part of the block, I have one in my block stack, but I don't know if it's a very well built one.
Sure.
I just threw the cards together I think are good.
All right, so we're going to bring up your deck list on the screen right now. Now, one thing that you've mentioned a couple of different times, and some people may or may not be familiar with the term, you've brought up 187 creatures. Now, for those who are not aware, 187 was the police code for murder in Los Angeles. So the nickname 187 was given to the creatures in Mirage block specifically, that when they enter the battlefield, they do something. Normally it's kill something, but it isn't necessarily just about killing something. It's gaining some sort of advantage. So Necrotal and Mana War are in your deck. Necrotal comes in, it destroys a non-black creature, and then Mana War bounces a creature. And then what's not in your deck is like Uktabi Orangutan, which would destroy an artifact when it comes into play. And it's just it's an interesting concept that wasn't really tried prior to Mirage Block. So let's talk a little bit about what you're running, because it looks like some pretty cool cards and some cards that people may or may not be all that familiar with. No pun intended.
Okay, yeah, great. One correction. The picture I sent you has 3 Song of Bloods. It should have 4. One fell on the floor. Apologies.
Okay.
I found it out. I started shuffling.
That's
But
fine.
yeah, so it's basically just a really a black aggro list that is graveyard centric, and it tries to leverage Song of Blood, which is a 2-mana spell. It's part of Scrying's, if I remember correctly, right? It's 2-mana sorcery that basically mills your deck for 4, and then gives all your creatures fire breathing to the number of creatures you flip over. So what the deck is based around is just creatures in the graveyard. Because you run things like Barrow Ghouls and Circling Vultures, which just need things in your yard, you have a few mill effects between the Song of Blood and the Urtai's Familiar. You have to have a critical mass of creatures, which basically gets you to that sort of where you're running 35 plus creatures, right? So like basically almost every other card in my deck is a creature to help power up to make sure my Urtai's Familiar hits somewhere greater than 1 each time it phases out. Sure. Or gets killed. Or my Song of Blood is sort of like 2 plus, right? That's the goal. So that, you know, really makes it, if I have 2 creatures on the table, Song of Blood is sort of like as good as a Psionic Blast, really, at that point.
Yeah. So Urtai's Familiar, as written, said that it's a 2/2 with phasing for 2, and whenever it left play, it would mill you for 3 cards. So under the old phasing rule, when it would phase out, it would mill you. But because of the fact that phasing no longer triggers either in or out, it's been errated, so that whenever it leaves the battlefield or phases out, it triggers. So you know, even when it dies, it's going to trigger. It's going to mill you for 3, and anytime it phases out, and you have the option to pay blue mana to keep it from phasing out. So if you don't want to have it phase out at the beginning of your next turn, then because you don't want that mill, then you have that option available. So you're running 3 colors, but I mean it's basically a black deck with a splash for the Familiars, the Mana Wars, and then red splash for the 4 copies of Song of Blood. And then you also have Shadow Guildmage, which is a really nifty card for 1 black mana. It's a 1/1, but it's got 2 activated abilities. 1 red ability, which is red and tap to deal 1 damage to any target and 1 damage to yourself, and then blue and tap to return a creature you control to your hand. So it's pretty good. And at a time in Mirage where, you know, people were running things like Circle Protection Red, or, you know, hate towards mountains because, you know, mountains were a thing. You know, the fact that the Guildmage could do direct damage and was a black source was pretty key.
Yeah, and like dealing 1 and being able to target is really important in the format because of like flanking and things like that.
Right.
And don't forget, like being able to bin your own 187 creatures back to my library and basically just continually cast Mana Wars or Necrotals is, again, like, you know, it's that whole like tempo and value thing.
Yeah, it puts them on top of the library. Sorry. Yeah. All right, so let's. Well, I'm going to bring my deck onto the screen now. So I'm playing red and blue, and it's based around one of the cards that you already mentioned is Hammer Bogarden. But it also has the fun card with Ophidian, and then it's got the Man of Wars and Rainbow Efreet, and then I also have another burn package with Incinerates and Thunderbolts and Carevex Torch.
Yeah, I think like it's a very nice blue-red sort of like tempo shell. I think there's a few ways you can build this, but again, you're starting to see the other card advantage engine you have is Ophidian, right?
Yes.
I think the running joke was that it just shouldn't even have a power because it's only always going to draw you cards.
Right.
And any other choice is the wrong one. But it's very simple. Like you're just going to put pressure on and then hopefully draw enough cards. The sad thing about when I look at your deck is that Rainbow Efreet is just a shell of what it used to be.
Oh, definitely so. Yeah,
the card is so cool.
Yeah, Rainbow Efreet is definitely cool. But one thing with Rainbow Efreet, again, when damage used to use the stack, that meant that you could block. Damage would go on the stack, and then you would phase it out, so it wouldn't be around when damage was dealt, but it would still deal its 3 damage to a creature. It's still effective against flanking because it can block, and with the flanking trigger on the stack, I can phase it out. Things like that. And then you see that I've got 3 copies of Foreshadow in my deck. They work really well with the memory lapses, and they work well with against tutors. And then 1 copy of Basium Strip, which with the number of instants and sorceries in my deck, I figured Basium Strip would definitely be useful because it basically gives cards flashback. The top card of my graveyard, if it's an instant or sorcery, until the end of the turn also. So if I have multiple cards and enough mana, I can activate the strip, I can cast the top card, cast the top card, cast the top card, and continue doing that for as long as there are instants and sorceries, and as long as I have the mana to do so. So
and you're running 3 quicksands, which is nice too.
Yeah,
which we haven't talked about,
is definitely good.
As a utility land, that one's really strong.
And then one thing that both of our decks have in common in the sideboard, Mind Harness, which is basically a control magic for red or green creatures. It only costs 1 blue, but it's got a cumulative upkeep of 1 colorless. And then Knight of the Mist. So Knight of the Mist is a unique 1/8/7 creature. It's 3 mana for a 2/2 with flanking. When it enters the battlefield, bury target knight unless you pay blue. So it itself is a knight. So if it's the only creature on the table, you have to pay the blue or you get rid of it. So it ends up being a 4 mana 2/2 with flanking. If your opponent has a knight, then it's just a regular 1/8/7 creature. So you just kill their knight. You don't have to worry about paying the blue, and that's why it's there.
Yeah, and it's great. I mean, again, 3 mana to kill a creature and have a body behind with flanking is really
especially
good.
In blue. It seems pretty good. All right, so let's get here to the games. We're gonna shuffle up and we can start playing some Magic.
Sounds great. You made a mention of that knight, and I just wanted to see something in Gatherer real quick. Because I just thought of an interaction that I've never thought of. Okay, nope. All right, I want to make sure Necrotol was not a knight.
Oh. Necrotol is what's its creature type now?
Human assassin.
Human assassin. Okay.
Which makes sense. It's very fitting from a flavor perspective.
Right. So I'm not sure how Necrotol is going to be, but I do remember that it being pretty disgusting. 4 mana, kills something, and it's a 2/1 body with first strike. That first strike was huge. So obviously it's something with flanking or whatever is going to take it out. If you're blocking with a Necrotol, but it's going to win a fight against most creatures in the format. So
yeah, that and it was because I was wondering because like the knight that you mentioned, the Knight of the Mist, because the Knight of the Mist is a great answer to the Fallen Ascari, right? Because it's like a 2 mana body. He's like one of the most efficient in the whole format. It is funny, like also thinking about like what is an efficient creature in Mirage block, because it's so different from regular old school to what you see in modern Magic.
Oh yeah. Yeah, so it wasn't until was it Jackal Pup came out in 1997 in Tempest, and that
Right.
was ridiculous. It was a 2-1 for 1 for red, and whenever it was dealt damage, you also took damage. But if you're playing
And it
a
was
red
played
deck,
in every red deck, right?
yeah. And then also had something like Mog Fanatic. So if they were going to do something to cause a lot of damage, you would just like, okay, well, I'm just going to Fanatic my guy. I'll take the 1, and then we'll just move on. So.
All right. Do you want me to roll to see who goes first? For sure.
Sure.
All right. Odd or even?
Odd.
It's a 2.
Okay. That's not good for me.
I'll play. Well, you know what? Like it's weird because like we're both pretty fast, so it's like gonna be a dude getting on the table,
Right.
and then it's really just battling back and forth, right?
Mhm.
Because you have impulse, which is the only good cantrip, right?
Right.
Everyone else, all the 1-mana ones are just disgusting.
Right.
but
I mean, I have
impulse-
Foreshadow, which isn't that great against you unless I'm able to memory lapse something. But
Mhm.
even against you, the mill isn't great because you like to be milled. So.
Right. I'll be doing it myself.
Mm-hmm. But
All right. Well,
we'll
good
see what
luck.
happens.
I think this
All
is
right.
pretty well shuffled. One,
Good luck, sir.
2, 1, 2, 3.
3, 1, 2.
Same for you then. 3, 1, 2.
3, 1, 2.
It is nice playing these decks because they're not even double sleeves, so I can pick the whole deck up and nimbly manipulate everything.
Mine's double sleeved because I'm using my regular lands. I'm not using Mirage lands, so I didn't want to unsleeve all my basics.
Can I keep this? I'll keep.
I'll keep as well.
All right, I will just play a Bad River and pass the go.
Okay, so I will draw.
That's the one that's Swamper Island.
Yep. Bad River is Swamper Island. Okay. And then I will play a mountain, and I will say go.
During my upkeep, I will get this, and I will get. Yeah, I guess an island seems right.
So for those who are not aware, Mirage had the original fetch lands. So the fetch land itself came into play tapped, but the common play was to, on your own upkeep, go and fetch something out. Back when the original extended format was a thing, that would mean that you would go and get your dual lands with it, which is commonplace now with the Zendikar fetch lands and the Khans fetches and whatnot. But the fact that there was a way to do that was pretty ridiculous back in the day.
Yeah, it's also like because it comes into play tapped, it's like it seems very fair.
Mm-hmm.
I'll play a swamp, and I'm just gonna attempt to cast a Skulking Ghost.
That is a Skulking Ghost.
You're up. I have 5 cards in hand.
Okay, I will draw. I will play a Quicksand, and I will say go.
Okay. I'll attempt to go to combat with my Skulking Ghost.
I will take it. I'm at 18.
Play a Gemstone Mine.
Mm-hmm.
All right, let's see here. 3 counters on it. Attempt to cast a Barrow Ghoul.
Okay.
And then I'll pass it go to you.
Okay.
4 cards in hand.
All right. I'll draw. All right. Well, I've got 8 cards. I'm going to move to my end step.
Oh, I'm sorry, man. That sucks.
No,
In response to your, I'm gonna discard Circling Vultures.
Sure. All right. I'll discard Abduction during my end step.
Okay. Untap, resolve the Barrow Ghoul trigger.
Yep.
Exile the Circling Vultures. Draw for turn. Swing at you for 6.
I'll take it. 12.
I will play another gemstone mine,
Okay.
and then I will attempt to cast Inertize Familiar.
Yeah, resolves.
Go ahead.
End step. I'm going to incinerate the familiar.
Yeah, okay. And I get the mill.
Yep.
1, 2, 3. One creature, Shadow Mage, Shadow Guild Mage. So 2 creatures are in my yard.
All right, untap. Draw. This is going to be quick. Go ahead.
Oh, I'm sorry, man.
No,
That sucks.
it happens.
I
figured-
exile
Yep.
Guild
I
Mage.
figured I was on the draw. I'd be able to do something, but
Yeah, the mana base is always... They always get me. Like, they're kind of funky. Swing for
Right.
6 again.
yeah. All right, I'm down to 6.
I'll play the Guild Mage.
Sure.
And, yeah, I'll play it in the Scope Paradise. Go ahead.
Okay. I'll draw. It's not a land, so I'm dead.
Sorry.
It happens. Doo-doo-doo.
It's hard because, like, do you keep a 2-lander with all those cantrips, right?
Right,
It's-
right. And
reasonable.
like, I mean, I had if I drew an island or a blue source at any point, then I'm cooking with gas because I have impulse, I have memory lapse, I have mana war, so I have things to do.
Right.
If I draw a land, so that's all right. Okay, so.
And I think if I remember correctly, Mirage block is the last block that has Enchant Worlds also, right?
I believe so, yes.
Yeah. That's all I want to do. It is weird, like, figuring out a sideboard because I didn't have a sideboard really with what you're doing in mind.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't think I really have anything that really does much against you.
I mean, all you really have to do, though, is do what you just did.
Yeah, it's just throw dudes out, you know. As the sisters like to always bust my balls about it. This is a Saffron Coronu deck.
Yeah. In a couple of things, I did want to thank Bruins545, regular in the stream, and he donated he gifted a tier 1 sub to D&D Legend. So thank you for that, Bruins. And then yes, this is a league, so we get pairings about once a week, and we are going to try to see if we can. We've got what, 24 players, right, Seth?
Yep, 24 players.
Right. So it's going to be 5 rounds, right?
Yep. And I think we're going to do a cut. I want to do a cut to the top 8 just because I want to have 8 deck lists to show people.
Sure.
Really, we have prizes. So everybody who participates is going to get like a signed and doodle on Wildfire Emissary from the sisters.
Okay.
And then 1 through 8 has prizes, and they're all like Scrying's legal, with first place being an Altar Dreadnought.
Oh, nice. That's cool.
So, yeah, we wanted to make sure that any cards we gave people they could use in Scrying's, because most of the players are really, let's be honest, playing more traditional old school.
Mm-hmm.
So, and it's full proxy too. So, I think there's a bunch of the guys probably own 0 of these Mirage block cards,
Right.
or relatively few.
Right. I have very, very few of them myself. I have a lot of proxies in here. I did, one of the local stores did have a bunch of things from Visions and Weatherlight, so I was able to snag a bunch of those rather cheaply, but, at max they have like 2 of each, so it's just, one of those weird things that they made a decision at one point to only keep 2 of cards that were older, that were in less demand. So it's just a little weird, but that's all right.
1, 2, 3.
2, 3, 1.
Same for you then, man. Good luck.
You as well.
3, 4, 5, 6, 7.
I will keep.
I'll keep.
Gemstone Mine. Go ahead.
I'll play a swamp. You're up.
Draw. Mountain. Go ahead.
I'll play mountain myself. Attempt to cast a fledgling djinn.
That's fine.
Okay. Go ahead.
End step. I'm gonna impulse.
You got it.
This was famously errated because it's look at the top 4 cards, and then the original version would say after you put one in your hand, you put the rest on the bottom and then shuffle. They took that shuffle away. 1, 2, 3, 4. Let me look at my hand. Look back here. I'll take that one. And then I will untap. I will draw. And I will play another mountain. And I will say go.
I take 1 from my djinn, puts me at 19.
Yep.
Draw for turn. Swing with the djinn.
Thunderbolt.
You got it. He's dead. Let's see. How do I want to do this?
Thunderbolt and lightning, very, very frightening.
It's a great card. I will play the Bad River.
Mm-hmm.
Put a... Yeah, I guess I got to do it. Barrel Ghoul into play.
All right, seems good.
Pass it go to you.
Okay, untap. Draw. I will play a Quicksand.
Oh, baby. Yep, got it.
And then I'm going to play an Ophidian.
That's fine.
And you can go.
I will, end of your turn, I'll discard a Circling Vultures.
Sure.
Oh, wait, I don't have to. Wait, never mind. I'm sorry. Let me take that back. I have a creature in my yard. I'm got to be a better Magic card player. Okay, untap. During my upkeep, I'm going to activate the Bad River.
Yep. And you're probably going to get rid of that skulking whatever.
And then the
fledgling
Fledgling
yep.
Djinn's going to get exiled.
Yep.
Yep. All right. It's been a long day of work. All right. 1, 2, 3.
Oh, you whatever. 2, 3, 1 is fine.
Okay. 2, 3, 1. Excellent. All right. Draw for turn. All right. How many cards in hand, Rich?
1, 2, 3, 4.
4. And Ophidian's a 1/3, correct?
Correct.
I will cast Song of Blood.
Okay.
Yep. 1. I reveal 2 creatures.
Okay.
Urtide's Vermilion or Circling Vultures.
All right. So it's +6 or +2, so it's a 6.
Play a Swamp. Swing with my Barrel Ghoul.
All right, I'll take the 6. I'm at 14.
And I have, let me just do some math. I'll play another barrel ghoul.
Okay.
Go ahead.
How many creatures are in your graveyard?
2 creatures in the yard right now. 1 circling vulture, 1 Urtai's Familiar.
Okay. Untap. Draw. Undiscovered Paradise. Go ahead.
Untap. Barrel ghouls. I'll resolve both of them if I can.
Yeah.
Okay. 1, 2.
Okay.
Go to draw. There's 1 quicksand on the table over there, right?
That is correct.
All right. Well, let's see what happens. These dudes are coming at you.
I will quicksand one of them.
You got it. He's so it's quicksand's -2, -1?
-1, -2.
-1, -2. Okay, great.
And then I will incinerate that one.
You got it. He's dead.
And then I'll take the 4.
Okay.
I'm at 10.
So is that I have you at 8 and me at 19?
I'm at 10 because I took 6 and then 4.
Oh, that's right. I'm sorry. Yeah, I apologize. I too quickly did the fledgling gin damage. Thank you.
Yeah.
Play an island after combat. Play a fallen Ascari.
Okay.
Play an Urtai's Familiar.
I'm going to memory lapse the familiar.
You got it. Goes to the top of my library.
Yep.
I will pass the go.
Okay. Untap. Draw. Ascari can't block, so I'm going to attack and draw a card.
You got it.
I will play an island.
Mm-hmm.
And how many cards do you have?
I have 1 card in hand.
1 card. Urtai's Familiar coming up. Yeah, I'm going to torch the fallen Ascari.
You got it. He's dead.
Go ahead.
Untap. Draw my Urtai's Familiar.
Nope. No. Don't forget your upkeep.
Oh, thanks. That's, yeah.
Yep.
There we go. Swing with the ghoul.
I'm at 6.
Play the Familiar.
Yep.
I'll play the Circling Vultures.
Okay.
Go ahead.
And how many creatures are in your graveyard?
1 creature in the yard right now.
Okay. Untap. Draw. Island.
Mm-hmm.
I will end my turn.
Okay. All right. Let's do this properly. Okay, so I'm going to put... You have an Amphibian, so I'll put this on the stack.
Okay. Well, hold on. Your familiar phases out before you untap.
Right.
And then,
oh, is it?
Yeah. And then it.
Don't you untap before phasing, though?
No. Phasing happens at the beginning of the untap step before you untap.
Okay.
Otherwise, if you phase something in tapped, That would mean that you wouldn't be able to
That's fair.
attack with it.
Okay.
So,
Yeah. So anyway, I'm gonna choose that guy phases out
yeah,
first.
and then
One.
technically the trigger doesn't go onto the stack. It triggers during your untap, but doesn't go on the stack until your upkeep, because nothing can go on the stack during your untap. But
Okay.
regardless,
Okay.
you're going to put the triggers in the right order. All right.
Yeah. So untap. This guy's phasing out.
Yeah.
So then the way he's
Mill
going to
3.
stack.
Yeah. Mill 3.
This first, then this, then this.
Yep.
Resolve this one first.
Mm-hmm.
1, 2, 3. I got one creature.
Mm-hmm.
Then I resolve. This one's next.
Yep.
And then this guy last.
Yep.
Okay. Great. All right. Draw for turn.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Move to combat.
Sure.
Swing.
I will block the barrel girl.
Okay.
I'll take 3. I'm at 3.
Good. And then I'll cast a Necrotog.
Necrotog.
I have no creatures in my yard.
No creatures in your yard. Okay. Necrotog resolves.
Go ahead.
End step, I'm going to return Necrotog to your hand.
What is that card?
Boomerang.
Oh, cool. Yeah, all right.
Yep.
Bounce it back to my hand.
All right. Untap. Draw. Undiscovered Paradise.
Mm-hmm.
Echo says, I thought phasing didn't trigger leaving or entering abilities. Yes. Airtight's Familiar, to keep it functional with how it was supposed to work, actually has errata, so that it triggers when it leaves play or when it phases out. So then I'll type that in chat. Yeah, so right there it said when Airtight's Familiar phases out or leaves the battlefield, mill 3 cards. And for 1 blue, you can keep it from phasing out until your next upkeep. So I passed the turn.
Okay, so let's do this properly now. Phases back in.
Yep.
I untap these triggers. And let me think. How do I want to do this? I want to put this one on first, this one on second. This one fails to find. It dies. Resolve to keep the Baragul.
Yep.
Draw for turn. Move to combat.
Yep.
Swing.
I'm going to incinerate the Airtight Familiar because I can.
Yeah, it's fine.
Yep, you mill yourself for 3.
Yep.
And then
1,
I'm dead.
2, 3. Yeah, I got 2 creatures.
Yep.
Yeah, I had the Necrotog and another familiar in hand.
Yeah, so that was a whooping. So I boarded in, which I'm sure you can assume a handful of things. The Cicada Firewalkers,
Yep.
the Phyrexian Furnaces, and of course the Knights.
Yep. That makes sense. I only brought in 1 Forsaken Waste.
Forsaken Waste. Oh yeah, because it's a Whirl enchantment. So.
Yep. And
Yep.
I just felt like it was slightly better than this thing. But
Yep.
I thought about bringing in the Serrated Basilian,
Mm-hmm.
but it didn't seem like I was like, I'm not gonna sideboard my deck to potentially counteract what you might do.
Right.
So I felt like if you paid 3 manas for the Firewalkers, I could live with that if I took care of because I don't have a lot of 1/1s.
Mm-hmm.
So that was my thought process. Yeah.
Yeah, so I knew you didn't have a lot of 1/1s. I figured if I could get more than 1 Firewalker on the battlefield, it would be decent.
Oh, yeah.
Or, just having more bodies in general would have been okay. Phyrexian Furnace, obviously, against, your graveyard portion of your deck would have been decent had I drawn them at some point. And then the Knight for the 1/8/7 of... a couple of your creatures. I mean, not a lot of them, but being able to do something rather than nothing is definitely, a good thing. But I did 0 damage to you in those 2 games. The only damage that was dealt to you was your fledgling Jin doing damage to yourself. So
Yeah.
I did.
Yeah, I mean, well, clearly I knew I had to be the aggressor, right? Because
Right.
it's like you start to hit your strides. If you can get a Ophidian down and bounce a creature, then it gets real bad real
Right,
quick.
right, and the 4/4s were tough for me to deal with. So which I knew was going to happen is as soon as I saw what your deck was all about, I knew that the 4/4s were going to be problematic, but I wasn't going to change what I was doing just because of the fact that there was a possibility that I was going to face 4/4s. It just
Right.
I mean, I don't think that my deck is bad, and if it gets running, if I'm on the play and I can get some things running, then obviously I'll be doing a lot better than if I'm on the draw. Like, that game wasn't actually too bad of a game. If I would have drawn things like Mana Wars and been able to bounce some things a little bit more often, I think that I would have been all right. But, I mean, you play the games because you don't win them on paper. So
Right.
that,
Yeah, and like a timely Man of War would have changed everything that second game because like I was sort of like all in just keeping one Baragul on the table because like clearly I knew you had the Thunderbolts and like Incinerate, so I had to basically have a body that you had to double. You had to do 2 things to kill it.
Right.
Was my plan.
right, and that would have helped. Like the Firewalkers could have done something like that as well. Would have made either the Incinerates or the Hammer just that much better, so I can deal with those creatures. And I was hoping that with an Incinerate, a Firebolt, and an Ophidian, and a Boomerang in my opening hand, that I was going to be able to hold you off. But you've got so many creatures in your deck. It was just I was not long for this world, unfortunately. So
yeah, I mean those draws were very good for me. I had all my mana, I mean, obviously the deck is super greedy in its mana base, and I had no mana issues, right? Like there are 2 mountains and 2 islands, and I had both of them in my opening grip.
Yeah,
I mean that's ensuring mana consistency and not having to do gemstone mines is huge.
Right.
I mean, that you'll lose so many games. Yeah, and I mean and I'm super soft to the Sands of Time list, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I basically have no plan outside of just like dude, hopeful Song of Blood for 3 guys on the table and a Song of Blood of 3. Because those decks just lock you out so quickly. And you don't have that problem because you will be able to, go toe to toe with them with all your counters.
Right.
So.
Well, thank you very much for the games. I appreciate
Thank you, Rich.
And thanks for the invite, obviously, to the league. I'm looking forward to playing some more, and maybe maybe not getting raffle stomped so much, but we'll see
love having you.
And that was with with any kind of format. Obviously, if you are new to a format, aggro is the way to go, no matter what, because you can't go wrong with an aggressive deck. And maybe a control shell isn't the best thing. I stumbled on mana that first game, which kind of sucked for me. But I mean, what are you going to do? I kept a 2-lander on the draw, and with a bunch of blue cards. And had I drawn an island at any point in time during that game, I think that I would have been all right. But lo and behold, I didn't. But that's that's part of the variance of the game, and that's why we love the game and hate the game at the same time. So
yeah, and you know what I'll do after this? Because it's interesting to see what you did with the blue-red tempo shell. Because I have another one that's built, but it's totally different.
Yeah.
Similar cards, like you see the overlap, which is really cool, but like in the same general approach, right? Like you're just creating a window, countering a few things, very light permission in the deck with some efficient removal spells. But
right.
I'll send that to you. I think I have it built in Mana Stacks. I'll send it to you right now.
Oh, okay.
Please take a look at what I have in my deck, my actual block party, so to speak. What I do for my blue-red tempo shells.
All right, sounds good. All right, thanks for the games, man. I appreciate it. Take care. Yep, bye. Well, we didn't get their chat, but we had some fun doing it, so that's okay. I love Mirage Block. It was where, like I said before, Mirage was the first set that came out when I first started playing Magic, so I was around for the release of that set. So holds a special little place in my heart. I do remember, going to Camillus Mall back in the day. I wanted to go to Electronics Boutique, but the local card shop bought out their entire stock of Mirage. So I went down and was able to buy them from the local card shop. Get some packs of Mirage before I learned my lesson that buying packs isn't the best way to go. So, well, I appreciate you all being here. We're definitely looking forward to playing some more Mirage. Stick around for we've got some more. Let's see. Tomorrow is my regularly scheduled stream. Excuse me. You join me each and every week for my regularly scheduled stream every Tuesday night at 8 p.m. Eastern. I play 3 rounds of Old School Magic with the Northern Paladins as part of the Tuesday Night Gauntlet. So if you haven't done so already, please don't forget to follow and turn those notifications on so you know when I go live. Coming up on Wednesday afternoon at 4 p.m. Eastern, that's 9 p.m. Central European Time, I will be playing in another match of 7 Points Singleton here on stream. And then on Friday morning, 9 a.m. Eastern, 2 p.m. Central European Time, I will also be playing in a match of 7 Points Singleton. So I am looking forward to that. I'm looking forward to playing some more Mirage here as well. So with that, everybody, I hope you enjoyed what we brought on today with the Mirage block. So you all have a great night. I'm hoping that I will see you guys soon. I'm hoping that I will see you on Tuesday. And take care. Have a great night.